Yeah, so we're going to speak about the story of Samson today. You know, it's noteworthy to mention that Samson is the last judge of the book of Judges of Israel. Now, he wasn't the last judge of Israel, but he was the last judge mentioned in the book of Judges. You know, and I think that's noteworthy to mention because I think there's actually a message in that as well. You know, so that being said, you know, we're going to take a look at this, at the story of Samson. And generally speaking, like most people, when they look at the story of Samson, they say, okay, it was a prophecy, it was a prophecy entailed within the story concerning Yahshua. And that may be so, you know, but Yah today was showing me, you know, how it's also a prophecy, you know, or it's definitely a prophecy also concerning the end times. You know, and there's certain remezes, you know, that's within the story that causes me to conclude that, you know, there's that is definitely speaks to the end times. You know, and there's some things in here that we can learn, you know, concerning the end times. You know, so that's the light in which, you know, I want to view the story of Samson today and just see what we can discover. You know, I did not get time to get the whole picture that y'all was trying to show me, but I did get some, so I'll share that with you. Amen. All right, so that being said, let's jump right in. Judges 13:1 says, and the children of Israel did evil again in the sight of Yahuwah. Notice it said again because the children of Israel, you know, from the very beginning, were a stiff-necked people. Yeah. They were a stiff-necked people, and they did evil in the sight of Yahuwah again and again and again. And this is one of those agains, you know. So, and this is also one of those times when Yah would give in and deliver them. So, hence it says, and Yahuwah delivered them. Oh, he didn't deliver them into a good place. He delivered them into the hand of the Philistines 40 years. You know, and so I was looking at this, and Yah began to put on my heart, you know, those 40 years, and, you know, and what do those 40 years speak to, spiritually speaking, you know, in conjunction with the Philistines. And so I began to take a look. Philistine means immigrants. And immigrants are those who came to live permanently in a country, in a country, you know. You know, so for example, the most of us here in America, you know, are types of immigrants, those who came to live permanently in a country. You know, the Philistines were believed to have previously been Egyptians. You know, that they were Egyptians from Kaftor or Crete. You know, so you know, I thought that was kind of interesting. You know, if that was the case, that Yahuwah delivered them back into the hands of the Egyptians. You know, for 40 years. You know, to remind them, you know, where he had brought them from. You know what I mean? You know, and I thought it was also noteworthy and as well as revelatory, you know, that judges, I mean not judges, but the Danites during this time still had not received their, well, if judges is in chronological order, they had not received their inheritance. You know, so even though they were living in the land, they had not taken their inheritance, you know, as of yet. And, you know, that was pretty interesting to think about. Okay, now let's take a look at these 40 years. Now, of course, 40 means test and trial. But it also speaks to the number of years Israel ate manna. Because eating the manna for 40 years is a test and a trial. If you eat anything for 40 years straight, that's a test or a trial. Amen? You know, we learned this in Exodus 16:4. It says, Then said Yahuwah unto Moshe, Behold, I will rain bread from heaven for you. And the people shall go out and gather a certain rate every day, that I may prove them whether they will walk in my Torah or no. You know, and I don't want to just gloss over that, because, you know, I want to remind you, like in Yochanan 6:51, Yahushua says, I am the living bread which came down from heaven. If any man eat of this bread, he shall live forever. And the bread that I will give is my flesh, which I give for the life of the world. You know, and there's a direct parallel betwixt this and betwixt Yahshua, the bread of that came down from heaven. You know, that true bread of heaven. You know. Now, the parallel is just as they received the bread from heaven, and it was given to them for a reason, that Yah may prove them whether they will walk in his Torah or no. Likewise, with the bread, the true bread that came from heaven, even our Messiah Yahushua, who gave his flesh for us to eat. You know, so you can conclude the same thing, that he did that he may prove those who will follow him whether they will walk in his commandments, words, and sayings or no. There's a direct parallel. There's no coincidence that Yahshua is telling them in chapter 6 of Yochanan that your fathers did eat that bread from heaven, you know, speaking of the manna, and did die, you know, but those of you who eat this bread that I shall give you shall live forever. And this bread that I give you, of course, was his flesh. You know, his commandments, words, and sayings are the commandments, words, and sayings that will bring eternal life. And they're given to us that Yah may prove us whether we will walk in his commandments, words, and sayings or no. It's the same thing. You know, and, you know, but unfortunately, just like Israel of old, spiritual Israel done the same thing. You know, they were stiff-necked, and for a time of testing and trial, they had to wander in a spiritual wilderness, and the same thing transpired. You know, Exodus 16:35 says, and the children of Israel did eat manna 40 years. So he gave them that manna, and 40 years later they were still eating it. That's a very long time. And in all likeliness, you know, Yahushua died for us, gave us his flesh to eat, his commandments, words, and sayings, and it's been quite a long time that we're still supposed to be eating it. Amen? And it says in Exodus 16:35, until they came into a land inhabited, they did eat manna until they came unto the borders of the land of Canaan. The land of Canaan was the promised land. We have a promised land as well. It's called New Jerusalem. You know, and we're going to have to eat Yahshua's commandments, words, and sayings until we come to the borders thereof. Amen? Yes. You know, it's the same thing. Now, 40 also speaks to parental Israel's dying off and their children bearing the burden of their sin in the wilderness. And this was simply a spiritual picture of being fathered from above. You know, everyone that's born into the flesh are born into sin. You know, but when you accept the Messiah and walk in the way, the truth, and the life, you know, you will be fathered from above, i.e. born again at some point. You know, while in that spiritual wilderness. Now, that newborn will have to bear the sins of his parents until it's wasted in the wilderness, the same as what happened to natural Israel. Numbers 14:32 and 33. But as for you, your carcasses, they shall fall in this wilderness, and your children shall wander in the wilderness 40 years, and bear your whoredoms until your carcass be wasted in the wilderness. Same thing. Our flesh will die in the spiritual wilderness, and the one that's fathered from above, i.e. born again, will be the one that will enter into the promised land. You know, but before they do, they will be made to bear the whoredoms of what was done in the flesh. Same thing, you know. Now, with that in mind, you know, let's consider Judges 13:1, you know, and it seems to be saying that, hey, you know, because of the evil that you've done in my sight, excuse me, I am going, Yah has delivered them into the hand of immigrants. You know, well, we know how the prophecy go, that and how it went, that Yah sifted his people to the four corners of the earth. Yep. He truly did deliver them into the hands of some Philistines or some immigrants in some places. Mm-hmm. You know, and they've been there during test and trial. Mm-hmm. You know, and that's the picture that's being shown here. Let me have my first reader read Judges 13:2 through 7, please.
And there was a certain man of Zorah, of the family of the Danites, whose name was Manoah, and his wife was barren, and bare not. And the angel of Yahweh appeared unto the woman, and said unto her, Behold, now thou art barren, and bearest not, but thou shalt conceive, and bear a son. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you. Now, therefore, beware, I pray thee, and drink not wine or strong drink, and eat.
Now, therefore, beware, I pray thee, and drink not wine nor strong drink, and eat not any unclean thing. For lo, thou shalt conceive and bear a son, and no razor shall come on his head, for the child shall be a Nazarite until Elohim from the womb. And he shall begin to deliver Israel out of the hand of the Philistines. Then the woman came and told her husband, saying, A man of Elohim came unto me, and his countenance was like the countenance of an angel of Elohim, barely terrible, but I am him not whence he was, neither told he me his name. But he said unto me, Behold, thou shalt conceive and bear a son, and now drink no wine nor strong drink, neither eat any unclean thing, for the child shall be a Nazarite to Elohim from the womb to the day of his death.
Hallelujah. Okay, so Yah was showing me that, yeah, this is, you know, this is concerning the end times, right? You know, and so here, verse 2 tells us, and there was, you know, and in this end times, you know, it's speaking about, you know, how, you know, Yah would deliver his people into the hands of the Philistines, and it would be for testing and a trial period, you know, and that truly has happened, you know, and now here we're being told that there was a certain man of Zorah of the family of the Danites whose name was Manoah, and his wife was barren and bare not. You know, so take a look at the terms and see what they mean. And Zorah means hornet, Danites means judges, and Manoah means rest. And interestingly enough, the mother, the woman, is never named. You know, and that kind of sticks out like a sore thumb because everyone is named except for the woman and the angel. You know, and so even the place, you know, the places are even named, you know. Zorah means hornet. So they literally live you know, or I guess not literally, but spiritually or figuratively lived in a hornet's nest. You know, so that makes them hornets, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the interesting thing about the hornet, and I want you to take this and put it on the shelf for a minute, because we're going to bring it down a little bit later in the lesson. But the interesting thing about hornets is that hornets actually, there are some hornets that feed exclusively on honey and their larvae. And they literally go into the honeybee's camp, the hive, and take their honey. You know, and they slaughter bees like nobody's business. You know, and that is so revelatory in conjunction with this story. It's not even funny. You know, and, you know, Yah speaks about, prophetically, you know, he's spoken about sending the hornets in. You know, and this is a picture of some of those hornets. You know, Samson would be as one of those hornets. And truly, he was a hornet. He was from the home of the hornets. You know, so, you know, interesting picture that's beginning to form here. You know, wasn't just any old hornet. He was a hornet of the Danites, which means judges. You know, so he was a bigwig. He was one of the judges. Now, the interesting thing is that the angel appears to the mother, to the woman. You know, and the spiritual picture here is that we have a woman that's married to rest. You know, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I know you're trying to tell me something here. You know, what is it? What is it? You know, and then, you know, he showed me, you know, and it just hit me like, you know, like one of those aha moments, you know, because I was just racking my brain. I'm like, yeah, what are you trying to show? I see you trying to paint a picture, but I can't quite get it. And he showed it to me. I was like, oh, duh, you know. Sabbath means rest.
Yes.
And this is a spiritual picture of the woman being married to the Sabbath. You know, and I was like, man, that's pretty neat. Yeah. You know, I felt kind of dumb though, because I was just like, how come I didn't see that? But yeah, it's a spiritual picture of a woman that's other hornets, you know, that's other judges being married to rest, or being married to the Shabbat. You know, and it says the angel of Yahuwah appeared unto the woman and said unto her, behold, now thou art barren and bearest not. You know, but thou shalt conceive and bear a son. So now we have a barren woman that's married to the Shabbat that's going to bear a son. Now the picture is getting a little clearer, isn't it? You know, it says that for her not to drink not wine, nor strong drink, and eat not any unclean thing. For lo, thou shalt conceive and bear a son, and no razor shall come on his head, for the child shall be a Nazarite unto Elohim from the womb. So in order for him to be a Nazarite unto Elohim from the womb, she had to become a Nazarite before he got in the womb. So she wasn't allowed to drink wine or strong drink or eat any unclean thing. You know, and says, and he shall begin to deliver Israel out of the hand of the Philistines. And so now I begin to see the picture. I begin to see the spiritual picture of Yah, you know, painting the picture of how he's going to bring the people that he scattered to the four corners of the earth out from within the midst of those immigrants that rule over them. You know, I'm just like, okay, Yah, show me more. You know, and it says the woman came and told her husband, saying, the man of Elohim came unto me, and his countenance was like the countenance of an angel of Elohim. Very terrible. And I was like, man, was he that ugly? You know, you know, so I look up the word terrible. It says Yareh in Hebrew number 3372, say to fear, to be afraid. He was scary. That doesn't necessarily mean he was scary looking, but he was scary. He could have been huge, you know, or he just could have been, you know, just out of this world looking, right? You know, and it says, but I asked him not whence he was, you know, I ain't asked where he came from, neither told me his name. You know, and so the picture that I began to see here is that, you know, this, you know, what you'll notice, well, I'm getting ahead of myself, so I'll just hold on right there. Okay, and it says, for the child should be a Nazarite to Elohim from the womb to the day of his death. He's to be a Nazarite. What is a Nazarite? So, we go to Numbers chapter 6, and we get re-familiar with what a Nazarite is. It says, speak unto the children of Israel, say unto them, when either a man or a woman shall separate themselves to a vow of a Nazarite, you know, to separate themselves unto Yahuwah. That word separate speaks to dedicate, to consecrate, you know, to separate. So when you separate yourself unto Yahuwah, you're consecrating yourself unto him. You know, whether you're male or female, it says either man or woman. It says, he shall separate himself from wine and strong drink, and shall drink no vinegar of wine or vinegar of strong drink, neither shall he drink any liquor of grapes, nor eat moist grapes or dry. Don't mess with the vine, period. Which is very revelatory in and of itself, because who is the vine? Yahshua. So here it is, we're speaking about, if we're speaking about the end times, we see that we're speaking about the end. If this truly is a picture of the end times, we see that this child, he is not to eat of the vine. He is not to mess with Yahshua and those who are Yahshua's. You know, that's the picture that we're being drawn. You know, he's not to mess with those who are bearing fruit. You know, when the vine bear fruit, he's not to mess with the grapes. He's not to mess with the fruit, those that's bearing fruit, those that's bearing the fruit of the Ruach, Hakodesh. You know, those are bearing the fruit of Yahshua. You know, and so that's a beautiful picture. You know, and it goes on to say, all the days of his separation he shall eat nothing that is made of the vine, from the kernels even to the husk. Nothing. All the days of the vow of his separation, there shall no razor come upon his head until the days be fulfilled in which he separated himself unto Yahuwah. He shall be holy. You want to be holy? This is one way to be holy. And shall let the locks of the hair of his head grow. And days that he separated himself unto Yahuwah, he shall come at no dead body. He shall not make himself unclean for his father, or for his mother, for his brother, or for his sister when they die. Because the consecration of his Elohim is upon his head. All the days of his separation, he is holy unto Yahuwah. Hallelujah. All right. So, that's what a Nazarite is. That's what this child was to be, from the Rudy to the Tootie, from the beginning to the end. All right. Let me have my next reader read Judges 13, 8 through 14, please.
Then Manoah entreated Yahuwah and said, O my Adonai, let the man of Elohim which thou didst send come again unto us, and teach us what we shall do unto the child that shall be born. And Elohim hearkened to the voice of Manoah, and the angel of Elohim came again unto the woman as she sat in the field, but Manoah her husband was not with her. And the woman made haste and ran and shewed her husband, and said unto him, Behold, the man appeared unto me that came unto me the other day. And Manoah arose and went after his wife, and came to the man and said unto him, Art thou the man that spakest unto the woman? And he said, I am. And Manoah said, Now let thy words come to pass. How shall we order the child, and how shall we do unto him? And the angel of Yahuwah said unto Manoah, Of all that I said unto the woman, let her beware. She may not eat of anything that cometh of the vine, neither let her drink wine or strong drink, nor eat any unclean thing. All that I commanded her, let her observe.
Hallelujah. Okay, so here it is. The angel came to the woman. The woman went to her husband. She tells her husband, you know, and then it says her husband Manoah, he entreats Yahuwah, you know, and it said, "Oh, my Adonai, let the man of Elohim which thou didst send come again unto us." He couldn't just believe his wife. He had to ask y'all to send him back again, right? Okay, so that's what happened. You know, and it says in verse 9, and Elohim hearkened to the voice of Manoah, and the angel of Elohim came again unto the woman as she sat in the field. But it says that Manoah, her husband, was not with her. Again, he wasn't near. But the woman made haste and ran and showed her husband. You know, now, what y'all was showing me in all this was that this is a picture of, you know, the angel coming unto the woman, coming unto the people of Elohim during, actually coming unto them before the Moedim, you know, the time of rest. You know, and then when she get to the Moedim, or get to the time of rest, her husband, you know, then, you know, she bears witness of what the angel told her. And so then we see a spiritual picture of those who wasn't visited by the angel, you know, praying that they may see the angel as well, you know. And here it is, you know, he comes again, but again, it's not during the one of the Moedim, you know. But when it happens, you know, the people are reaching out to one another and telling them, you know, hey, come on over here. You know, he's back. You know, the angel is back. And so, you know, this is the picture that I'm seeing. You know, and so they go back, you know, to again, because the angel of Elohim came again unto the woman as she sat in the field. And of course, Yahushua taught us that the field in one of his parables is as the world. Amen.
Yeah.
Okay, you know, and so she does show her husband. She does show all of those who keep the Moedim, you know, and so the word spreads. You know, and the angel of Yahuwah said unto all of them, of all that I said unto the woman, let her beware. She may not eat of anything that cometh of the vine, neither let her drink wine or strong drink, nor eat any unclean thing. Again, because, you know, the vine represents Yahushua, so not to do any damage to Yahushua, period. And they're going to have to keep themselves clean. You know, so they're not going to be able to do anything that will cause them to become unclean, which only makes sense, right? All right, let me have my next reader read verses 15 through 20.
And Manoah said unto the angel of Yahuwah, I pray thee, let us detain thee until we shall have made ready a kid for thee. And the angel of Yahuwah said unto Manoah, Though thou detain me, I will not eat of thy bread. And if thou wilt offer a burnt offering, thou must offer it unto Yahuwah. For Manoah knew not that he was an angel of Yahuwah. And Manoah said unto the angel of Yahuwah, What is thy name? That when thy sayings come to pass, we may do thee honor. And the angel of Yahuwah said unto him, Why askest thou thus after my name, seeing it is secret? So Manoah took a kid with a meat offering, and offered it upon a rock unto Yahuwah. And the angel did wondrously, and Manoah and his wife looked on. For it came to pass, when the flame went up toward heaven from off the altar, that the angel of Yahuwah ascended in the flame of the altar. And Manoah and his wife looked on it, and fell on their faces to the ground.
Hallelujah. Okay, so, you know, spiritual picture here is, you know, all of those who keep the Shabbat, the Moedim, you know, they're being made aware that the other angel, you know, and it's saying, let us detain thee until we may have made ready a kid for thee, you know. And this word detain means to enclose, you know. Now, I thought it was interesting that the word a kid here is actually made up of, it's actually two words that speaks to a goat, which I you know, I don't, you know, that was kind of interesting to me, because it was seem to be kind of unnecessary to use both words. You know, it's made from Getty, you know, which speaks to number 1423 in the Strong's, which speaks to a young goat, and A's, number 5795, that speaks to a she-goat. So we see a young she-goat, you know, and so seeing that scripture seems to go out of its way to make this point, I think is revelatory. Yeah. You know, and I did not get a chance to put scripture up here, but, you know, it speaks of the sin offering, you know, being a she-goat. You know, and that's, if I'm not mistaken, that's the only time that a she-goat is used. You know, so that's very interesting in and of itself, and seeing that no one's without sin, you know, it just speaks of an offering that will be given up. Now, of course, we know Yahshua is the ultimate offering, and, you know, we don't really need to give any more offerings, but as far as blood goes, you know, but this just goes to show that there's some type of offering that will be given up. Which makes perfect sense, you know, because in Revelations, we see those folks by the altar. I believe in Revelation 6:10, you know, they're at the altar crying, how long before you take vengeance upon us? You know, because they had presented themselves as living sacrifices, you know, and offered up their lives, even as Yahshua did. So just interesting, you know, verse 16 taught us, says, though thou detain me, I will not eat of thy bread, and if thou wilt offer a burnt offering, thou must offer it unto Yahuwah. So that right there tells us they're not going, that this angel isn't going to be doing, you know, the same things that they're going to be doing, you know, per se. I will not eat of thy bread. Bread speaks of teachings and instructions, you know. So he's there on a mission. He's going to do what he's supposed to do. And if you offer a burnt offering, you know, which is how you live your life, then you to offer it unto Yahuwah the way he told you to do it. You know, he's not going to start nothing new. And it says that that they wasn't sure that he was an angel of Yahuwah. They didn't know. You know, they just knew that they had the woman knew she had received this message from this guy. You know, and so they said he looked like an angel. She thought he may have been an angel, but they wasn't sure. You know, and so this we reconfirmed of that fact in verse 16, for it says, for Manoah knew not that he was an angel of Yahuwah. You know, and he asked him his name. You know, and he said, why you asking my name? For it is secret. This word secret is interesting as well. It's Pele, number 6383, which means hard to understand. You know, so this tells us that the message that the angel is going to give is going to be hard to understand. You know, now this word secret comes from the root word Pelah, number 6381, which also means difficult to understand. Now, what's really interesting is in verse 19 it says, so Manoah took a kid with meat offering, offered it upon the rock unto Yahuwah. Upon the rock? Really?
Yeah.
You caught that one, right?
Yeah.
I pray everybody caught that one. You know, and it says, and the angel did wondrously. Now, this word wondrously is Pelah. Difficult to understand. You know, so here it is. We see a spiritual picture of this angel that's coming to him, that's telling him some things that's difficult to understand, and he's doing miracles that's difficult to understand. And it says, so Manoah took a kid with a meat offering and offered it upon a rock unto Yahuwah, and the angel did wondrously. He did things that was hard to understand. And then verse 20 tells us, and the angel of Yahuwah ascended in the flame of the altar. You know, and I thought that was pretty awesome because it never, I don't think it mentioned an altar up to this point. It just said he offered it upon a rock. You know, and so, again, with knowing that, you know, this speaks to the end time prophecy, we know how it speaks of those who will be at the side of the altar, you know, those who had been martyred for the testimony that they had, you know, of Yahshua. You know, we can see, you know, being offered upon the rock. You know, and the angel ascending in the flame. And we know flame also speaks to fiery trials. You know, so it's a beautiful picture that's being painted here. Verses 21 through 25. My next reader, please.
But the angel of Yahuwah did no more appear to Manoah and to his wife. Then Manoah knew that he was an angel of Yahuwah. And Manoah said unto his wife, We shall surely die because we have seen Elohim. But his wife said unto him, If Yahuwah were pleased to kill us, he would not have received a burnt offering and a meat offering at our hands. Neither would he have showed us all these things, nor would, as it this time, have told us such things as these. And the woman bare a son and called his name Samson. And the child grew, and Yahuwah blessed him. But unto Judges.
Yeah, verse 25.
Okay. And the Ruach of Yahuwah began to move him at times in the camp of Dan between Zorah and Eshtaol.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you. So here it is. We see, says the angel of Yahuwah did no more appear to Manoah and his wife. You know, but then it tells us something interesting. It says, then Manoah knew that he was an angel. You know, so Manoah, you know, most of those who keep the Shabbat, you know, will not know that he was an angel until he be gone. But the interesting thing is that the wife, she peeped it from the very beginning. You know, she said he looked like an angel. You know, but it tells us that Manoah said unto his wife, we shall surely die. So we can see that Manoah is still doubtful or ignorant, you know, saying we shall surely die because we have seen Elohim. But again, it's his wife who has the wisdom, you know, and say unto him, you know, if Yahuwah were pleased to kill us, he would not have received a burnt offering and a meat offering at our hands. Burnt offering speaks to someone giving their whole lives to Yah. You know, Yah is a consuming fire, and he consumes every aspect of them that is not of him. You know, and it becomes a sweet savor unto his nostrils. Meat offering speaks to teachings and instructions. So, you know, not only did they give their whole lives unto him, but they're walking around sharing his teachings and instructions with others. You know, and that's the spiritual picture with the offerings. You know, and the wife says, neither would he have showed us all these things, nor would he at this time told us such things. You know, so, you know, what's the use of going through all this if he was just going to kill us? You know, why say I'm going to have a son? You know, duh. You know, so, you know, we see here that the wife is more enlightened. You know, hence we see her sharing with the rest, with those at Shabbat. You know, beautiful picture, beautiful spiritual picture. And it says in verse 24, the woman bare a son and called his name Samson. You know, and the child grew and Yahuwah blessed him. Now, she gives birth, you know, and now keep in mind that she also, you know, became a type of Nazarite, you know, because she wasn't able to do those things either, you know, and she gives birth to Samson. Samson's name means sunlight. You know, you get sunlight from where? The sun. And who is the sun? Malachi 4:2. But unto you that fear my name shall the Son of righteousness arise with healing in his wings, and ye shall go forth and grow up as the calves of the stall. You know, now, so this is a spiritual picture of the light that comes from Yahshua. You know, and those of us with eyes to see and ears to hear, we know that light is Yahshua's commandments, words, and sayings. You know, and we see that they're born once again into the world. You know, and verse 25, the Ruach of Yahuwah began to move on him at times in the camp of Dan between Zorah and Eshtaol. Dan, judge, Zorah, hornet, you know, and Eshtaol means treaty, entreaty or prayer. So we see the spirit of Yahuwah moving upon him, you know, to be a hornet and to judge, you know, when he entreat Yah in prayer. That's all I have for you today. Pray it was a blessing.
Yeah.